Hi, I've just finished reading Transcendental Style in Film by Paul Schrader and I have a few thoughts to share. I'll break this into a few parts. Everyday disparity stasis formula, abundance and scarcity theory. So let's start off with the everyday disparity stasis formula. Basically, this is the formula that Paul describes in the book to be the 3x structure that we get in traditional films. We have a new formula, everyday, disparity, and stasis, and I'll go into it. So basically, the everyday is the start of the film. The filmmaker will show mundane life to settle the mind of the viewer and sort of like remove the viewer's emotions, because when people go and watch a film, they want to experience something outside of their lives. But by showing the everyday, the expectant feeling of something new sort of fades away because you're less likely to react and have like strong emotions to the normal life that you start to see. So it's like sort of a calm introduction, so you settle yourself, and then that's when the story starts to go. And that's where we move into disparity, where through the actions of the main character, we start to see the tension between the mortal world and the otherworldly spiritual passion held inside the main character. It doesn't always need to be religious, just an overwhelming feeling that guides the main character's actions and noticeably alienates themselves from society. In Diary of a Country Priest, the pastor alienates himself from the congregation he serves. While in Trial of Joan of Arc, Joan always responds to the interrogators in a shockingly truthful manner, and she doesn't try to word her way out of it or try to save herself from the execution that she knows is going to happen. And that's where we move on into stasis, the climax of the story. After all these actions, they accumulate together, and the true nature of the transcendent is revealed in the final action, such as the raising of the dead, martyrdom, or communal understanding of unity and enlightenment. It's sort of like the Buddhist thing. And next we move on to the abundance and scarcity theory. Art has always tried to mimic each other. So painters try to make their drawings realistic, photographers try to make their photos like a painting and more like unrealistic, you get what I mean, sort of thing, in order to capture human life in all its abundance. And that's where we get the abundance and scarcity theory. So the abundant represents the world that we know, and in all the things that we see. The scarce or primitive, you remove what you can see and what remains is spirituality. By capturing real life exactly, the medium of film is naturally abundant since we can see everything that's going on and everything in the world is exactly captured on film. So hence, the transcendental filmmaker needs to strip away this abundance of film and make it scarce and closer to the transcendent. So we know we can't make the film more grainy. That's not really how it works. The video quality doesn't matter in this sense. What matters is the way the film is arranged. Every moment in the film is carefully arranged to make known the transcendent passion, or if you want to say, the invisible hand of God that moves through the story. You can't use human reasoning to explain the characters' actions or why they do what they do. There's no psychological or sociological reasoning for it. So that's how they strip the story to its bare bones, to the point that only the spiritual or otherworldly reasoning is left, and that's where we get the transcendent. But that also sometimes makes the film less fleshed out in a sense, because in the case of Ozu and Bresson, they force their actors to repeat the same sequence over and over and over again until they kind of get tired and the acting is the barest things that they need to do to get through the scene. And it can be seen as monotone, but that doesn't take away from the acting or the story itself. The actors don't display their emotions on the screen, yet the audience is still able to understand and internalize the emotions, which is how the transcendent style works. Plot also doesn't really seem to matter. I mean, it's usually just a very simple, very basic plot that happens in the story, because the filmmaker doesn't want you to focus on the plot and thinking about what's going to happen next. In the case of Ozu, he uses the same family setting over and over again in his films. While Bresson doesn't really explain why the main character is there. I mean, sometimes in Joan of Arc, you kind of already know why she's there, the 100 Years' War. But for example, the main character in A Man Escaped in 1956 is imprisoned, but his sentence isn't really explained, or anything that he's done before the story starts isn't explained. So we don't really know why he's there besides he's in prison and now he's trying to escape. So he's just kind of there. So there is no human reasoning that we can apply to him, and therefore only the transcendent and this inner otherworldly feeling remains.